Welcome to the World Poetry Collective. You may or may not have heard of us, and we want you all to get to know us better. Today, in episode 1, we get to dive into the lives of me, Zach, one of the co-hosts, and you'll get to meet shortly Jamie and Sav. And we're going to tell you a little bit about what the World Poetry Collective does and who we are. We are a publishing organization that help artists of all levels and all scales get their work out there and a hard, solid copy of their work to show their friends and to be proud of. We want to build a community and build a support system for everyone out there who is struggling to find a way to get their work out there and maintain ownership, which is the number one goal. I hope you guys all enjoy episode 1 of The Poetry Table.
Awesome.
Hi, how you guys doing today? So welcome. We are World Poetry Collective. We're here just to give you a little insight on what we do, who we are, and how you, as a poet, can get yourself published. Zachary, do you want to kind
What's
of
up?
get into it?
I'm Zach, born and raised here in Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm super excited to be here.
And I'm Sav. I am a poetry writer and editor, and I am really excited to get started.
I'm Jamie, born and raised here in Louisville, Kentucky, have lived elsewhere, but now I'm back, and I am your host. So, Zachary, do you want to tell us a little bit about what we do here?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that really attracted me the most about the World Poetry Collective as a whole is the artists get to keep the ownership of all of their work. It's a one-time fee. And for me, just maintaining ownership, maintaining royalties, knowing what to expect up front would be something that I wanted, I think.
Yeah.
And I just really liked their mission of, keeping the work in the artist's hands. I thought that was pretty awesome.
That is the most amazing thing about World Poetry Collective. And Sav, as a writer yourself, how do you feel about it?
Honestly, I love anything that puts the autonomy and the independence in the writer's hand rather than in an anonymous corporation or executive's hand. I've heard a lot of stories about writers who get this really amazing book deal or some kind of award, but then they find out that their work is being edited without their permission or being transmogrified into something they really did not consent to. So I would hate to have anyone's little artistic baby be ruined by a shoddy editor. So I appreciate what we do with maintaining the writer independence.
Yeah, no, that's super cool.
And I love that term, artistic baby. I've never used that before, but I'm going to have to use it from now on.
And it's crazy to me that World Poetry Collective is only less than 2 years old. June of 2024 was when it all got started. And there's just such a large network of followers and people interested in what we do. And I think that this is going to just build a community around it. And it just sounds really fun and exciting to connect and talk to other creatives.
I would 100% agree. And for those watching and listening, this is really what this show is about. We are trying to get the word out to many poets, to people that want to publish and keep their own creative independence with their work. So yeah, that's why we're bringing this show to you guys.
Yeah.
Why does this matter right now for poets? Why do you think that?
For me, I just think in such a world of disconnection, we're constantly stuck in like a doom scroll. We're stuck in that AI-driven society that getting back to seeing the faces of the real people who are expressing themselves and building that community, building that network and just connecting. We don't have to do this alone and we're not alone, and putting some faces to the work, and I think is going to really be powerful. It's hard to get out of the house sometimes, but it's easy to listen to a podcast on the way to work.
Right.
That's
That's basically my whole day.
Yeah, right. Same, honestly.
And I feel like anyone can sort of be an influencer and be familiar with the online scene, but what does it mean to be a writer on the internet? What does it mean to use the internet to boost your writing, to improve your writing, to educate yourself on writing? So I think it's important to use this as a vessel to improve literary education and also build careers, build legacies.
Yes, definitely. That's amazing, Sav.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that as well. I feel like I'm going to learn a lot. And, I've always enjoyed writing, but I do it on a very recreational I was in a band a long time ago, and I wrote the lyrics for that band, and that was really fun, but I never really had much education or,
Right.
and so I'm excited about that. Yeah, I'm excited to learn.
I feel like a lot of writers, not just poets in general, but a lot of writers don't really have formal education. They just want to express themselves. They want to get their words out there.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's kind of like if you put someone in front of a piano, they'll tinker around and eventually they can play music.
Right.
But as beautiful as that sounds, it is a different kind of music than someone who was trained by sheet music.
Yeah.
And it's about training your ear to appreciate both.
Yeah. And a dictionary is a pretty big keyboard.
Yeah. Since we're on the subject of writing, do we want to try to do any live editing? Would you like to share a poem, or do we want to make our own poem right here, right now?
We could read something.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to share some of your poetry, I would love to hear some.
Sure, yeah.
I actually brought your book over because
Thank you.
I was going to just at some point be like, ooh, what about these birds? Do you want to read it?
Sure, yeah.
Or do you rather hear it?
Ooh, you know what? If you want to read it, I'll let you.
Okay.
I like the idea of hearing someone else read your work.
Yeah, do you have one in mind or can I pick?
You can pick. You can pick.
Okay.
Pick one that excites you.
This poem is called Bird Lover by Sav Gripsover. Bird Lover. Sometimes when I'm around you, I feel like my heart is beating out of my chest. And with your gentle fingers, you bring the manic hummingbird back into the birdcage of bone. But then I remember how much you love birds. Love them in flight. Love the color. They freckle the sky with when they're insane in motion. And you wouldn't want me to cage a bird, now would you? So instead, I think, when I'm around you, I feel like my heart is beating out of my chest. And you cradle the dizzy thing and scoop him into a red solo cup and sit with him in your lap for hours, while begging and praying on a call with the sanctuary for answers on what to feed him and how to soothe him when he's chirping like he might combust. And you bandage the battered wing and you ease honey and worms into the screwball beak. And you comb his feathers until the clusters of debris stop screaming tumescent, and you release the wild red thing out in the garden behind your house. But he comes back because, of course, he does. And of course, he lingers and hovers, adoring the sight of you cozy on a porch swing, because this is how a story about a bird must go. This is all to say, oh, what a marvel it is to be a human watching a bird, to be a bird, watching a human, to be a bird, wings slicing and kissing and knowing intimately the air, to be a human, hands gentle and curious, anatomy intertwined with invention, to be a heart, to beat.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. That was
Thank
really
you. I appreciate it.
I hope I read it to justice. I really never thought about reading someone else's poem out loud to them. And I was like, I hope that this sounds like she
would want to hear it.
envisioned it. Yes, how she wants
No,
to hear
it sounds great. I definitely think that reading poetry is kind of a skill that's partnered with writing poetry.
Yes.
Because like the mouthfeel and the rhythm is so important. And if you can't read someone else's poem, how are you going to read your own?
Right.
Totally. That was a beautiful poem, but it really makes me think of the whole birds aren't real conspiracy theory.
That's what I was going to say. The birding question right now, are birds real?
Nope, they're all fake.
Some would believe that. Some would believe that. Yeah. No, I loved it so much. I kept thinking of Maya Angelou. I know what the cage birds sing.
Oh yeah.
But it was very beautiful, and I have to ask, were you so it was written about someone?
Yes.
And so what was your inspiration for that?
Honestly, looking back on it, I felt like I kept having a sensation of butterflies in my chest when I was around that person. And I really struggled to determine, is it good butterflies or is it negative butterflies? Because that anxiety and infatuation seems very intertwined sometimes. And have you ever seen a bird fighting so hard to get out of like a grocery store or something, and they're just sort of flapping around? That's kind of how I felt about that person. And I wanted to express that sort of very dizzy excitement where you don't know where a relationship's going to go, but you're willing to explore it. So yeah, that was kind of my inspiration.
That was beautiful. I felt it in there, but the vibe that I got, that it didn't last.
No, it didn't. Which is funny because we were together when I wrote that, but hearing it back, I'm like, wow, you do sound anxious.
When you guys are creating, what makes you all, like, where do you feel the most like yourself as a creator? Like, what inspires you the most when trying to create personally?
So really, for me personally, when I push it too hard, when I'm like, no, I have to sit down and I have to get this out because I feel the need to create something, is usually not the way for me. It is random acts that inspire me.
Sure.
Like I can just be, I'll hear a song or just driving down the road or a conversation with someone, and I literally will pull out my phone and like make a voice note. I tend to do voice notes a lot because it's something I want to circle back to later on and dive deep into that. I'm like, okay, this is something in my notebook that I carry around with me. I have so many just random lines, and all the time I'm like, okay, I need to explore these more and put these back together and figure out what will come of this.
Well, words, I mean, that's something that's so casual, or like so normal to us. It's like whenever I think or say something just in my everyday life that has a good flow, I'm like, ooh, what's another line that could go on that? Like, constantly just writing bars in my head.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, for me personally, I think too much in the future, and I'm like, will people like this? Who will like this? And that's where I go wrong. I need to stop worrying about what other people like and go with what I like, because that's when the beauty really comes out, when like authenticity really comes out in your words.
What about you, Sav? When do you most feel like yourself creating?
Honestly, I feel like there is no better adrenaline rush that comes than after finishing a really good book or a really good movie and being like, well, I want to make something that good.
Yeah.
So I'm reading.
Inspiring.
Yes. I feel like I get infected by the creative energy. So right now I'm reading The Sound and the Fury by Faulkner. And every single time I put the book down, I'm like, I wish I could write like that. I need to go write like that. Or seeing a really good movie. Like I saw Sinners recently, which was so good.
That was good.
And it made me want to be a movie director. So I really feel like I harness a lot of my creativity off of other people. And that's why I like being in a creative scene, because just hearing you guys speak, it's like,
it gets all the ideas flowing.
Same. So many people, we live in such a stressful society. There are some people that are like, gosh, I don't like other people. I don't like people. And I'm the exact opposite. I love to hear everyone's story, to gain inspiration from even people who don't see themselves as inspirational. Like there's something about them that is inspiring, and finding that inspiration through community.
Yes.
Such a beautiful thing.
My best friend and I were talking about that recently, how the internet has really just made us so solitary, or just alone.
Yes.
It's so crazy because all growing up, I've always been an extrovert. I'm like, I love people. I love getting to know people. But then COVID hit, and I had some personal things going on anyways during that time. And I secluded myself, and I was alone. And like, I got this like feeling around me where I'm like, I hate people. I don't want to be around people. And then when I was able to get around people again, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like the community, like you said, it means so much to people. And I feel like we really need to bring that back.
Yeah, no, I mean, I also experienced culture shock.
Yeah.
Through coming out of COVID. I was so solitary and had a very, very small bubble. I was living in a van in Portland, Oregon when it all
Sorry.
Yes. It was pretty great. It was like, it's so funny. It was such a stressful time, but looking back on it now, I consider like that the good days, Like, there's a part of me that wishes I could be in a van, sleeping outside of Laurelhurst Park in Portland Avenue every night. Like it just was a good, simple time. But coming back to everything, like the first time I went to a farmer's market, I was just like, what is happening, you know?
These people around.
But things are finally starting to feel good again, and like starting to build that community in a way that feels really good, and trying to keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
Would you guys, oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to ask, would you guys say that you felt the pandemic impacted you creatively as well as socially?
Actually, yes. I was going to say that is a double-edged sword because when I am seclusive into myself is usually when I'm depressed. And when I'm depressed, it's, like I said, a double-edged sword. That's when things really start flowing out of me. Just getting those emotions out. And I'm a big journaler, so just getting those emotions on paper, and then I'm able to create so much from that. Songs, you know, I don't write poems, but I am aspiring now. So now I need to start writing poems. But
so when you write songs, are you playing a specific instrument, or what do you?
Now, I don't play too many instruments. I took a couple years of piano when I was younger because my vocal coach wanted me to learn how to read music, and he said the best way was to learn how to play something.
Totally.
But I didn't keep up with that, so I can play a little on the piano, but I'm a singer, so I go with the emotion, and that's why I like to. So usually when I'm writing a song, I'm going with how does this make me feel, and then I'll add music to it later.
That's so cool.
I don't usually always get that far because, you know, things happen, but I do love songs, and I love feeling that emotion come out of me.
I love to sing as well. I've thought about taking voice lessons to try to improve my singing, but I just let it out. I'm that guy in the car.
But I do want to let you know that your vocal cords are a muscle like any other muscle in your body.
Yeah.
The more you work them out, the better they will get. So if you want to be a better singer, you can be a better singer.
All right. Do you guys think that do you think that any of this has correlation to like the uprise and where poetry, like I feel like poetry is building in popularity again? You think that some of this post-pandemic shock is what's inspiring that?
Most definitely.
Yeah, I think the pandemic triggered a lot of grief that people suddenly didn't know what to do with. And then on top of that, they physically couldn't get that grief out with other people or in public, you know, in nature or anything. And so I do think a lot of people sort of started turning inward and paying more attention to their feelings. Yeah. And of course, that just spills out onto the page.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like in this social network society that we're starting to build as well, and we have so much AI generated content, I think that, you know, words are something everyone knows how to use. So it almost comes naturally as a form of expression and creativity. Even if you're not a poet, you probably write poems to some extent, you know, and I think people are really starting to harness that and try to, this comes naturally. Maybe I put in a little bit more effort and try to do something.
That's exactly how I feel, because like I said earlier, not a lot of people have like a educational background, but I feel like so many people are poets. In fact, I keep thinking about my best friend Megan, who's amazing. She recently has been writing a lot of poems and then recording herself reading them and then putting them on Facebook. Yeah. And it's been like invigorating for her because she's being vulnerable and she's so scared, but then she's been getting so much good feedback. It's making her want to write more. Yeah. And I think that's amazing.
It makes me think of a long time ago when I was in high school. There was this website called hellopoetry.com. Have you all ever heard of it?
I have not.
I have not either.
It was like OG social media, no pictures. You had your little profile picture and that was it. And then you posted your poems. And you could follow other poets, but it was all just people like expressing themselves in different ways. And it was really cool. It was a lot of fun. And this like seems just building on that energy that had years ago. But something that I love about the World Poetry Collective that we do is so many different packages. And you've got that base package that is more affordable for the passion project, for the person that just wants to make a book of their work. And I think
that's get it out there.
Yeah. Like how cool is it to like be sitting at home on your coffee table is your book.
Right.
It is pretty cool.
Yes.
I'm sure it brings about a sense of pride as well.
Oh yeah. I would say that I published that in, I want to say I was either 20 or 21 when I published that. So I was younger, I had a little bit of publishing experience under my belt, but I had a lot of writing experience under my belt. And I wanted to take a step that would sort of affirm to me that I am a real writer and I am making career moves. And I think that if you have like a couple poems floating around, you should seriously take your work serious and potentially try and compile them and edit them and put them into a book, which is what the World Poetry Collective can help with.
Yeah, which is so amazing. So for any poets out there that are listening or watching, definitely check us out. We're on Instagram. We have a website. If you need help getting your stuff out there. And what's great about World Poetry Collective is that you keep all ownership to your poems and all rights, royalties. It's a 100% you. It's just a one-time fee up front, no hidden costs or charges. And then
it's pretty
you
cool.
get your stuff out there for the world. It just makes such a big impact and difference to everyone, especially I feel like children these days really, really need it because the world's bleak right now. I don't want to get too into, any politics or anything, but I feel like every generation probably says this, but it just seems so crazy compared to when we were growing up. I'm like, is this real life? I feel like we're at the failing season. Like we're on a TV show that's been out for like 7 seasons, and the writers are just throwing stuff out there because people aren't watching anymore, and now we don't believe the birds are real. So.
Yeah, birds are just cameras filming this TV show for
they need
someone.
Of everything. They need all the conversations, just so it's almost like the Truman Show.
They've got
the
all,
birds are the ones to.
They got all the B-roll.
Yeah.
So whenever I look at your book, Saf, the first thing I can think of is just like how proud you must be. And you seem super proud of it.
You should be.
Like,
Thank you.
do you guys have like a moment that sticks out in your life that you just feel most proud of something that you created? Like the first thing that was like, ooh, I can make something from nothing.
Oh man, that is such a great question.
I can give you mine first.
I would love to hear it, yeah.
So when I would have probably been about 15 or 16. I grew up in a very crafty family, especially my Aunt Lynn. She is just like a magician when it comes to making really cool stuff. She taught me how to make flowers out of party streamers. And so we got the floral stem that was wrapped in green and it's like aluminum so you can bend it around. And then we layered the party streamers and cut them so that when you roll them in a way, and I made a bouquet of roses and as well as like greenery, but it just looked so good. It looked like a bouquet of flowers, and it just is like, I was like, wow, like, no, I can like make something cool. I can do something that I want to show people, look what I did, and it's like just kind of inspired me to be, to try that thing.
Yeah.
Tried before that seems impossible. And yeah.
And that's your origin story as an accomplished florist?
That's an origin story. I think that might be why I love flowers so much.
Clearly. You got the flowers on the shirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that sounds so beautiful. I think
that is
when people learn creative skills and trades from their families, I think that really makes it more special to continue creating.
It's almost like a tradition. It's like cooking, that cookie recipe that your grandma has every Christmas.
It goes down every generation, gets it. Yeah.
What would you say a moment you were proud of was?
I was younger. I think it was the very first time I ever sang solo in front of like an audience. Obviously, I'd sang in front of my family and stuff, but the first time I ever sang in front of an audience, I was in 7th grade, and my music teacher, RIP, unfortunately, he has passed away now, but his name was Mr. Vidito. He told my mother when I was very young, like, she can sing, you need to get her to vocal lessons and really train that. And he decided that he wanted me to sing a solo at our little Christmas parade thing. It wasn't a parade. It was, we all went, I forgot what they're called, but you all go into the gym. It was a very small Catholic school. There wasn't a whole lot of people there, but everybody goes into the gym and it's like a little Christmas thing going on. And I sang, it was a Christmas song, but however, when I was done singing, I wasn't like super popular. I wouldn't say I was like a nerd or anything, but like the older kids, which were like, I was in 7th grade, and the 8th graders, like the older girls that were popular, ran up to me and they were like, oh my God. And it was a cappella. So they were like, that was so beautiful. We can't believe how you did that. And I remember my mom came in, she took off work just to come see me, and that meant a lot. And I was just really, really proud of myself at that moment. And it made me really realize that I'm like, oh, I can do this in front of other people. And it's something to be proud of.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
I feel like everybody's dream is to have a talent show song that just blows everybody's mind.
Oh my goodness, yes, most definitely. What was your moment?
For me, I think I'll just speak about something recently. I don't want to say I've been dealing with creative blockages, but I have not been as productive as I would like to be, as many writers go through that. Recently, I wrote a poem about the Beatles because I had gotten really into the Beatles, and I wanted to
love the Beatles. I grew up on the Beatles. My dad was a big Beatles fan.
But I wrote a poem about the Beatles just because I just listened to their album, like I might as well try it. And when I read the poem to somebody, they said it was really good, and they asked, "You've probably been listening to the Beatles your whole life." And I had only really been listening to them for a couple weeks. And so that just proved to me that whatever I put in that poem showed a knowledge. And I think that's kind of what I want to get across, is that my poems can teach something or share something or say something. So I was really proud of that.
That is amazing.
Awesome.
I love that. Just going back to this, I remembered the song. It was Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas.
Oh,
I kept
wonderful.
thinking in my head, I'll be home for Christmas. And I'm like, no, that wasn't it. Oh, I think that's a movie. But going back to the Beatles. So I am obsessed with the Beatles. Have you ever seen Across the Universe?
Is it a movie?
It is a movie.
No, I have not seen it.
If you're a Beatles fan, I 100% recommend it. I think it came out in like 2011, 2010, somewhere around there. But have you ever seen it, Zachary?
I actually haven't, but I know the movie.
It's so good. So the reason why I love it so much is because it gets your creative juices flowing. But if you're a Beatles fan, it uses Beatles songs and it creates an entire story told by the songs. And it's just creative genius to me. It's so amazing. And honestly, some of my favorite renditions of the Beatles songs are from that movie. Like, I Want to Hold Your Hand. I love their version of it so much. And Something, so good. I recommend going home and watching that. It is to die for. It's one of my favorite.
Fiona
movies.
Apple in that soundtrack? I feel like
she may have done it.
Seen a Fiona Apple cover of a Beatles song. I didn't know if that was from there.
Oh, okay. I don't think so. But I didn't know that Fiona Apple did a cover to a Beatles song. The Beatles just has such a wide range of music, and they have so many songs that they've been a lot of covers. But yeah.
And their lyrics are basically poetry.
They really are.
What do you guys think when it comes to, I think every artist has to bridge this gap. Even the Beatles, like, what do you think hesitates people from showing the world their work? It could seriously be so many different things, Some people just don't want to be famous.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that there's many people in my life that are talented enough that if they wanted to be famous, that they would be.
Yeah.
But they're an accountant instead, and then they're in like 5 bands through the city. But what comes to mind the most for me is just the vulnerability, and especially like
it is hard to be vulnerable in front of people.
Yeah.
Judgment, I would say.
And with the social media, we've got so many, what do people call them? Trolls on the internet.
The keyboard cowboys.
Yeah.
Keyboard cowboys.
Yeah, so it makes it scary. And I think it kind of brings me back to like this community, having a supportive community that encourages you and hopefully, as you were saying, getting inspired by other people. Hopefully people will see others like them that have published their work that they feel like they can relate to and they speak to, and maybe even reminds them of their own work. So then they're like, okay, well,
I can do this too.
People like them, maybe they'll like me, and it'll take it. But it's scary to be vulnerable, and because not only is the work vulnerable a lot of the times in poetry,
putting yourself out there,
it's also something that you created that is deep and intimate to yourself at times. So if they hate it, it almost punches extra hard.
And that is my biggest fear is judgment. Like, I don't want to be judged for this, like in a wrong way. But you have to take the good with the bad, because even though someone out there might hate it, you might really, really touch someone else and they might love it. And it might inspire them to not even only create, but maybe just to keep going every day.
Well, and I think that that's what we can do here is build a community that is so strong and connected and supportive that the good outweighs the bad.
Yeah.
We don't even hear the bad because there's so much good coming your way.
We don't need those haters.
Yeah, we don't need those haters. Yeah.
They're out there with the birds.
Yeah, with the birds.
They're fake.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think sometimes there's this pressure of the internet is for fun stuff, lighthearted stuff, cool stuff that people will appreciate in not a mainstream kind of way, but commercial, accessible. Whereas poetry does kind of ask people to think and feel.
Yeah.
People don't really like to think and feel sometimes, but when you're posting to an audience that loves poetry and is following this account and engaging with this community because they want to feel and think, you're erasing such a large part of the judgment factor.
Well, and it puts a lot of interpretation to the reader, which that's what I think about with painting. With a painting, if I look at it, maybe the artist had a deeper meaning, but I think it's easier to miss if I'm not putting in the intention to evaluate that painting. But with words, that is something that we naturally understand. So if something is hard, you got to think a little bit deeper on it. You're like, why did they say it like that?
Right.
What are they talking about? Because you're trying to understand what you're reading as you're reading it. So it just challenges that thought of the reader in a way that I don't think painting does.
Well, I think that's what is beautiful about any artistic expression, is that whether it's painting, music, writing, movies, even dance, the person that is, soaking it in is able to interpret it any way they want, whether that was the intention of their interpretation. And that's what I think is so beautiful about artistic expression, is that it gets something flowing inside people and it brings out, whether that was the intention of the artist to get that particular feeling out of you or not. That's the feeling it got out of you, and it might inspire you to do something else as well.
Yeah, maybe it'll inspire you to dance.
Right? Yeah.
Do you guys like to dance?
No, I do. I grew up dancing, but I don't really do it as much anymore. But,
Yes, I wouldn't say that I'm a very great dancer, but I will dance with no care in the world.
Yeah, dance like no one's watching. That's what you got to do.
I hit a point several years ago in my life, and I was so insecure to dance.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it, and I was afraid of what people would think.
Judgment.
Yeah, and then one day I was out with friends. I had just experienced a breakup of a longer relationship, and I was at a local spot here in town dancing, and I just I wasn't dancing yet, and I just hit a point where I was like, you know what, I'm gonna dance. And then I started, and I was like, this is fun. And then I hit a point where I was like, if anyone is looking at me and judging me and laughing at me, they're not having as much fun as I am.
Exactly.
So I just was able to finally disassociate with that insecurity and that that fear of judgment, and just express myself and whatever felt right.
That is beautiful. I love that. And then you found a love for dancing after
that.
That
and
is so
it's
beautiful.
just for fun, but I'm always dancing and bopping around.
That's amazing. I love to hear that. Yeah, and it's good. It's so good to move your body, keep it flowing.
Yes.
And dance is just a fun way to do it, and it really can release a lot of pent up emotions in the body as well.
Yes, it's good to stretch.
And it helped you get through that. Helped you get through that breakup, so that's good.
Right? In some ways, I guess it did.
I'm a big fan of pop culture, so I don't know if you all have seen. I was going to say that '70s show. It was not. It was Dazed and Confused, which also took place in the '70s. There's with
yes,
where he's like, I just want to dance.
I just want to dance.
Thinking of that one. Just I will unfortunately do random quotes from a lot of shows and movies.
Love it.
When you kept talking about the van, I kept thinking of
the SNL skit.
Yes, a van down by the river.
I need to see this video. I don't know which one you're talking about.
You've never seen it?
I don't think I have.
Are you a fan of SNL, or do you not typically watch?
I mostly see the skit. I see the shorts, but
Okay.
I've been seeing a lot of really
That one
good
was
shorts
from, like,
lately, so I've
the
been thinking about
90s.
watching.
Yeah.
So it was an older one. It was what's his name?
Chris Farley?
Chris Farley. I kept thinking Tommy Boy, but yeah, that was what Chris Farley, like one of the ones he was known as.
Oh, I love
the
Chris
van
Farley
down by the river.
too.
So yeah, you got to watch that one. That's why I was like, I don't think he caught my reference. When I said
I
Down by
definitely
the
didn't,
River.
but I was like, yeah,
You're like,
a
yeah,
van down by the
there was
river.
just
Being
Yeah.
accused of living by
Right.
the river.
You know, there were moments we slept by the river
Right.
sometimes.
I've seen a river.
Yeah, you definitely need to go watch that. Growing up, my dad had a lot of VHSs, which is going
Yes.
to age me probably, but that's okay. And we had VHSs of like, we had Eddie Murphy's best of Eddie Murphy SNL. We had best of Chris Farley, best of, I think, Will Ferrell maybe, but so many. The old school. I don't really watch as much SNL. I'll watch a couple skits or like a shorts of it online. But growing up, SNL was like top tier.
Oh,
top
yeah.
tier.
Oh yeah, I loved like the sketch comedy in general, the improv sketch comedy.
There were so many
Mad
good ones. Mad TV, In Living Color. Oh my God, In Living Color was so freaking
Yes.
good. I wish they'd bring it back. Yeah, there's been a lot of them.
And you said you had script writing experience?
I do, yeah. So when I was living out in LA, I was working with a little production company called Foley Mars Studios. Check them out. They're still amazing. And we were just a small group of individuals that are creatives. And we had actors, we had writers, we had directors. Megan Foley, it's owned by Megan Foley and her husband Chuck Mara. He was an actor, she was a casting director, and we wrote our own scripts. We made our own films. We did all the production. We did our marketing. We were submitting them to film festivals. We were trying to get bigger budgets, and I still would like to work with them, but I'll just have to do it from here now because, like I said, I had to move back home because LA is quite expensive, unfortunately.
Yes, I have a big interest. You mentioned directing, you mentioned script writing.
Yeah.
I've also got a big interest in like creating short films, and yeah, I also want to be a director.
We should
Yes.
create a short film about poetry.
We totally should. I would love to write a script one day, but I think my problem with script writing is that it's so different than poetry.
It is.
Because
It is a lot different.
script writing is so specific. You have to
Yeah.
nail what the dialogue is trying to get across, where you are, how they're moving, whereas poetry allows you to be a lot more nebulous.
Yeah.
Do you guys like art forms that are more like structured and tight, or do you like them more freedom?
I like more freedom.
More freedom?
I like more freedom as well. I think that's what really holds me up on while I attempt poetry constantly throughout like my day naturally, writing a script that meticulous, okay, now someone walks in and then we need to get this shot and that shot. And I think that's why I like the idea of a short film.
Yeah.
Is because it's less to figure out on the spot without filling in those gaps necessarily on the script. It
And
seems
it's easier for, people that aren't giant production companies to make short films rather than full-length feature films.
Oh, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But that's when it comes to writing. I think in other creative aspects, I do enjoy that, like putting things together in a very specific and intentional way. I really love stained glass art.
Oh, lovely.
I've got like a small little studio in my house, and it's fun to just like tinker and like be very meticulous and, get it done, put it
Yeah.
together. It's a lot of fun.
See, I think that's what I love about all of us here is that we're all creatives. So we like different forms. Like I like singing, dancing, acting. I love painting as well. You like painting, dancing, writing poetry. It's just, that's what I love just about being creative is that you're not just stuck with one niche.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can branch out and be all of them.
An
Do
art
anything.
form, can be anything.
Yeah.
I
It really comes down to expressing.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
And I know for me personally, growing up, I always had the feeling that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't enough. And I had childhood trauma and I just wanted to express myself. And that's why I was drawn to acting, because I could be anyone. I could be anyone I wanted to be. And it doesn't matter what other people think, because in that moment, I was that character.
Right.
And yeah, just expressing your feelings is just an amazing way to get things out in a creative way.
Absolutely. And then for me, I feel like the way I kind of had a similar experience of feeling like I needed to be deemed good in the eyes of like authority figures of other people. And growing up, I was always that kid who was reading at a 12th grade reading level and speed reading through the class and reading, reading Charlotte's Web when other people were reading like lower level chapter books.
Yeah.
And so I had this feeling of, if I'm already good at English, I should see what else I can be good at. And it did stem from a desire to receive validation. Mm-hmm. But then I found a way to express myself inside of it.
Exactly. Yeah. I didn't think of it that way, but mine definitely stemmed for needing validation. But being able to express something in a beautiful way that really touches people is what really drew me in to being a creative person.
Yeah. Do you guys have a favorite writer?
Ooh.
The most inspirational writer in your life?
Oof. I've never actually been asked that. I have favorite directors and favorite movie writers.
Okay.
I have a couple. I love Quentin Tarantino. I think he's so freaking creative. I like Robert Rodriguez. He's a big one. Okay. Now, if we're talking about authors, I do like Mary Oliver a lot.
Oh, yes.
I mean, she's amazing.
Of course.
And I'm a big fan of Maya Angelou. My mom was a huge fan of Maya Angelou, so I read a lot of her work growing up. And she would often reference I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Mm-hmm. And that's why when we were reading your bird lover poem, was it called Bird Lover?
Yes.
That's what I thought. It kept making me think of Maya Angelou.
Yeah, one of the most inspirational writers in my life, and I don't read up on his work as much now, but I would still consider a very inspirational writer, and to why I'm where I'm at today is John Muir, which isn't necessarily poetry, but is very poetic in its own way. I'm going to show my lack of knowledge here. Is that prose? Would John Muir be prose?
I'm not familiar with that name.
Okay.
I'm not sure either.
Okay. So you're not familiar with John Muir?
No.
Oh, wow. So John Muir, was an adventurer. He traveled through the West, and he took Teddy Roosevelt on a backpacking trip through Yosemite.
Okay.
And it was funny, him and Teddy ditched the Secret Service and were just off on some crazy adventures. But his work and his writings are more like journal entries.
Okay, I love
that. And his way of seeing nature and seeing these outdoor spaces and the way he shows their beauty through words is it's gorgeous. But he's got the famous quote of the mountains are calling and I must go.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to have to look into him.
You should check
now.
into it. I think I have a couple of his books at home. I might let you borrow.
I would love that. Yeah. Okay.
Do you typically enjoy art about nature or traveling?
I do. And it's funny you asked earlier when we were talking about my experience with van life and what it was like, and I described it as being like a land pirate, but the good type of pirate, the adventurous spirit. And I feel like John Muir, in a way, was a land pirate. He was doing things his own way and adventuring in nature. And I love nature. I love life.
That's lovely. For some reason, I keep thinking the way you described him is making me think of Hunter S. Thompson, who is amazing.
I also love me some.
I am a big fan. I don't know if he was from Louisville, but he lived in Louisville for a little bit.
I think he's from here.
Yeah. And my dad, actually, he was a couple years older than my dad. Both my parents are passed away now. That's why I speak of them in past tense. But thank you. It's been quite a few years, so it's easier to speak about now. He sold encyclopedias door to door with Hunter S. Thompson.
No way.
Yeah, he had just graduated high school. He went to Trinity. My dad did. And he just graduated high school, and he started selling encyclopedias door to door. And Hunter S. Thompson was his mentor there.
That's wild.
He went door to door with Hunter S. Thompson. It didn't last very long. I think only a couple months. But the first time my dad ever went to a bar, it was with Hunter S. Thompson.
I wonder if Hunter S. Thompson was just as wild then.
Yes, he was.
With some of his shenanigans.
So my dad had actually said that when he was going to this bar, he was only 18, and he was wearing his class ring, and he was like, just turn it around, flip it around, and it'll look like a wedding ring. We'll get you in. And it worked. And my dad was like, oh my God, it worked.
I love hearing about the lives of prolific writers before they became famous in our mind. Like how Stephen King used to be like, I think, a high school substitute teater.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That must have been really awkward looking back on it.
Right? Because, I mean, he has some amazing books, but sometimes I wonder, I'm like, what goes through his head?
Oh, yeah.
This has been so much fun, you
It has been a
guys.
lot of fun.
Yeah.
I hope that our listeners and viewers have had as much fun as we have had. And I hope that you have learned a little bit about us, World Poetry Collective. Again, you can go to our website, you can go to our Instagram, and if you want to get something published, we're here to help you.
Should we tell people what they can look forward to in future episodes?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think we're planning to have guest poets on, people published through the World Poetry Collective, people who are interested in being published, you know, getting into the lives of those people. And we've talked about maybe some live editing segments, which I'm nervous about, but, you know, should be exciting. And lots of fun things. You know, we've got a lot of fun ideas and fun things to look forward to just to build community and create together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to start exploring different forms of poetry, doing live workshops, live editing,
It's
watching your voices come through.
So we're definitely excited about this. I hope you guys are excited. If you all have any questions or have any ideas, go ahead and let us know, reach out, and we hope to see you in the next one.